kind of do. So, we're gonna try and play as close to GTO as possible, I think, here today, and see what happens. All right. So, we're live. We're gonna try and play as close to GTO as possible. Button raises to 2. I gotta open my other thing here, and hopefully we can play pretty good. All right, so we're gonna get some timestamps. We're only gonna be streaming for a short amount of time because I got a couple things I got to get done today. But yeah, I mean, I want to work on as many different things as possible here. He raises. I'm gonna call here. Minimize this. All right. I think it's supposed to snow tomorrow. I'm gonna go slightly larger here. Try and take that sizing down. And I think my sizing for players, I'm gonna size, I think, up just a little bit in some of these games. I think we can limp. Do it a 4, and I want to size to like about. I'm gonna size my flop to about 1.5 on average for value, and I think that sizing is gonna be a little bit better because I think people are gonna call too often, and I think we're gonna get away with a little bit more than what we always should here. So. We'll see. I'm not going to like look at GTO. I'm not going to look at too many charts here. I'm not going to be too cautious on what we're going to do. I think I'm going to try and play a few less all-ins. And I think I shove over the top of button. Do I still have enough value here? I think we're just going to find a fold here, even though that's probably a bit too loose. I think that we could probably be okay with a fold there. I think people, ace 2, it's just usually a little tight there. We'll just forfeit that. Seems fine there. Obviously overfolding on the button. I do need to work on small blinds range as well as probably some of big blinds range. Small blind I feel like is going to be the hardest range that I'm going to have to kind of encounter. Check. All right. Now heads up is pretty easy to get a little exploitative here. So we want to actually probably win this. So we're going to go with something like, I think 3x is a little bit small, so we'll try 3.5, even though I think that that's actually on the smaller side as well. It does generate a fold there, but I think on the big blind playing heads up, you can definitely exploit a little bit more. We'll just limp fold here with some of our more average hands. Betting ace high is usually pretty good. And I think we're really I'm trying to develop a strategy in which we can kind of use to be moving forward in some of these games to kind of crush a little bit more, try and find the things that are consistently working over a long period of time. That I think we can fold. I'm going to just raise here. Again, I think those raise sizes, depending on the player, might be a little bit too small on the small blind if we don't really want some calls. So we do need to work on, and those are the spots I'm going to try and kind of develop an understanding for here. I think raising, I'm going to write notes on heads up, small blind. And I think we just have to call a shove here. 10 queen. And he'll hit that pretty well. So maybe 3x on small blind if we don't love a play. Maybe we have to even go slightly more than that. So we got our first loss of the day. Maybe he finds a fold when we don't do that, but I think a7 is probably okay. I don't know why I couldn't move the webcam, even though I wanted to kind of be able to do that. I don't know why I can't. Yeah, I don't know why I can't move the webcam. I wanted to try and size it in a slightly different area, but I'm not able to. And I think here we can go with something like almost 9, I guess, is okay. But yeah, I just want to kind of learn some of how players like to play. Just kind of mention things and make some notes of stuff that works and that doesn't work as well. And I think that shoving here is just, I don't know, man. I think people call really wide, and I think it's really tough. That I might just try and shove more flop and see where we land. I don't know. Could be interesting to work on shoving some flops. So I'm gonna write waiting to shove flop. But yeah, I think I have like a lot of really nice ideas here. I'm gonna assume 4x should get both folds. That's just kind of something I wanted to test here. Didn't seem to work that way, which is cool to call here. It's fine to call. We end up missing there, which is probably okay. Most of the time we're not too worried about anything like that. Maybe just a bit weird there for that sizing. Just to kind of, I guess, just test things, see if they don't really work, see what does work. Try and just make some different decisions for sure. I don't have my water, which would be really nice to have. I think we limp with our more average hands. Betting ace high should be good. Yeah, we just got to figure out generating different things and how can we play different and I think we also just have to be careful with a button 2x. It's just really difficult to do that. I think the shoves are really tough. We're really short stacked here. This is actually a really tough spot. I don't know if I love a shove, but I think we get more folds there when he limps. And he has another really strong hand. So both of those times he did call with a strong hand. And honestly, I just want to do a little bit of testing today. I don't really care too much about too many things. Obviously, we got to be maybe a little bit more cautious on doing different things, but I think 4-5 is a bit of a mistake, but yeah, we'll be interested to do a little bit more testing. Let's see. So we haven't had too many spots that I think really make any sense to do too much here, but yeah, we'll kind of figure it out. Oh, there we go. I'm able to move it. I think I want to move it. I think I like this here a little bit. And then we can just toss that guy in the top right there. I think that's a better look, maybe. Let me know what you guys think. Might be a bit of a better look here. And then we will go with, since it's the limp, I think we'll go with 5 when both call and hopefully fold fold. And I think this is actually a bit ambitious. That might be a hand where we're a bit out of line there, but do end up pulling it down here. And we can't bet ace high boards, but I think I'm gonna start trying to size betting up, size up a little bit. So I don't think most people find any folds. And we want to bet slightly larger, I think, than even that. I do want to test maybe some slightly more king high here. The 9 comes out, and I think we'll go like 2.5 seems good. And he does find a fold. So I think that sizing up our bets here a little bit when somebody has something decent or when we have a reasonably good hand is probably the way to kind of go here moving forward. So yeah, I think we have to maybe learn small blind a little bit more. Small blind ranges just a touch more there. Goes heads and shoves, should be pretty strong. 8s, yep, looks good. So people just I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem that people play a lot of shoves. It seems like a lot of calls are going to be ace highs, and some different ranges in there. Then just kind of trying to learn what makes an opponent good or bad. Nice. I think we're just going to size up on this guy because I don't think he wants to find any folds here. So we will try and make him fold. We're just hoping that he doesn't have a king. Yeah, so I think it's tough on the small. I think we have to call here. Regardless, can we oversize? I don't know. Maybe not with the absolute worst. And I think we're going to go with about 1.5, 1.7 on flops instead of 1. Just trying to get a little bit more value. Check here and see what he decides to go with, and we'll try and kind of play a little bit smarter. We don't really care about letting him bet because I think oftentimes they don't. I don't know exactly what calls here. So I think we'll go with about 1.8. I think we can get a call with 1.8. Okay. So fine. I think I'll just size those bets up a little bit and whatever happens, happens. I think we just have to shove here. Maybe we don't shove so small stacked. I think that this is a problem where we do end up getting a little bit of a struggle. Yeah, and then we kind of give them back. So maybe we shove a little less on the small side with average. Don't shove small stack. I think we just go ahead and put him in here with the slightly better hand. I don't know, maybe I think we just shove our like real premium. I'm just gonna limp here, and if he just checks, we know it's probably a pretty average hand. We can bet ace high boards and get like a lot of folds usually there. Yeah. So I want to see what check equals here on some of this. I want to take a test on something over here. And we're just going to check along as well. We can usually bet ace high boards. Check equals. We'll see. I feel like a lot of checks are going to be really, really poor. I don't think people are usually value betting with checks. I'll just call. We'll see what the check brings. I don't think the check usually is going to be too premium of hands, but does hit the queen. Well played. Well played here. We should be able to win this unless we do something really bad. So we're just going to limp. I think a lot of people would rather limp here. And I think we can go ahead and just shove. 5-10 versus 5-6. He does hit that, and we're missing really bad. Give him really good spot. Go ahead and just shove suited. I think we can shove more suited hands, probably play pretty good. Really just kind of struggling here. Struggling. Hopefully the flop doesn't continue. Hard to say whether the check is good or bad, I think, at this point. Hard to say. But I think I can exploitatively fold a lot of those bottom pairs. Bet one, I think, may scare him if he doesn't hit. May want to go bigger if he did hit. I'm going to pull down some of these blinds. We would have hit a 5. I think we can raise. And we do get a shove over the top. So that raise size probably just isn't good here in this area. And the raise to 2, we'll find a fold. Just super weak. Heads up, queen 3. This is a spot where normally I would shove, but I think I'm going to wait for a slightly better position. I don't know if that's a mistake or not. I just assume he's only going to have, like, give me a green card. All right. So I just assume he probably doesn't shove with worse. I don't know. Maybe I just got to limp more. I think I can probably exploitatively fold in a lot of these spots. I prefer he just limps. Nice. Go ahead and put him in with the limbs. Should be bad. If not, played that pretty well. Battling right now. Probably too wide. Yeah, okay, that one kind of sucks. That was on us. I mean, we ended up staying in longer, so I don't know. Maybe we had a couple good folds, and maybe we just don't fold that much. But if we weren't gonna do that, we kind of threw on a bad game. But yeah, I mean, that seemed reasonable. Seemed a reasonable game so far. I mean, we're down 3. Literally not the worst ever, but I don't know what's happening. We're loading here. I was just gonna do this. Oops. I think we're playing all right. I think we can exploitatively fold in some of those smaller sizes and be slightly better. I'm not sure. But yeah, we'll check and see how many checks are actually good versus bad. I'm actually going to fold to a button shove. Ace 9. I don't think we really have to. But we're just going to watch checks today and see how many checks at this stake just seem like they're usually bad. And this guy seems like a maniac, so red is really probably pretty bad. And if he shoves, we find an easy call. And I think I'll just 5x and do some more of a shove from him. Interesting. Interesting play there. Why are we donking? Because my thought process behind it is right now I'm just doing some testing to see like kind of what are we generically seeing in some of these stakes, because I feel like it's basically really bad. So here's my thought is basically I'm trying to kind of build a little bit of a foundation for a slightly more like trying to induce a little bit of a strategy. So I'm kind of just figuring out how players like to play in some of our spots, and then kind of understanding GTO from some of our other spots. So I know what we talked about and I know kind of what we were saying, but I'm kind of like trying to learn that a lot of ace high boards we're getting pretty much a ton of folds. With our worst hands, I think raising like a size somewhere like this in the small blind induces a lot of folds unless he's really strong. Are you still there? I don't know if you're there, but yeah. So basically that's my thought process on some of these, and then exploitatively folding more often. So ace high boards, obviously a check. We'll see what he ends up getting. And hoping that he can bet. And I think that this board is just probably really scary. So again, we can't really allow that. We didn't see. He ended up folding. We could have just checked, but I think that we're going to put that as like bad because I don't have very much time, so I just wanted to test some stuff to kind of see here. So I think even going like something like 3 is probably too small on big blind, and he probably just doesn't fold as much as we want. I think that 3.5 to 4 is probably the range we have to go to, but when you shove over the top, I think we can find a fold with some of our worst hands in big blind, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking. So I could play pretty smart GTO, which I will as well, but I just kind of want to get some ideas on where ranges look like in spots like this. So I think a lot of 8s, and I think I'm going to size up on my flop to about 1.5 most of the time with my stronger hands, because I think we often get more calls in those areas. Here, I don't know, 5. I think we're probably okay here, and I think we get too many calls lower stack. But yeah, we are losing, and we aren't playing as strong as I'd like to be playing, but yeah, I think we're okay. Let's see what he decides to do. Just folds to me, which is cool, but I think big blind defending is probably pretty good with some of our different hands. And then I am interested in the exploitative folds. And just playing button pretty GTO smart. Let's see. So this player is a little on the weaker side, is calling shoves a little bit wide. So I think what we can do is probably just shove on him here, based on the knowledge that we know, or just find a call. He is a little wide. And take advantage there. So I'm going to limp and hopefully he checks, and I want to kind of get to the point where I do call some of these down to see if they are in fact actually weak. So I think ace high boards, he normally finds a lot of folds, so we can check with our 6, and we're probably okay here. The 8 is kind of a bad one, but shouldn't have an 8 if he checks. I think most people tend to bet. And he shouldn't have a king either, and we'll check. Yeah, so that's another bad. We can find folds because we know his shoving range seems to be pretty strong. We can limp here. It's not that good of a thing. So this could be a lot of 5s, could be a lot of 4s. I think we can call here. And a check should be bad. So I think we can go just size up about 1.4 here. Should fold. Excellent. So probably another instance of somewhat bad, maybe not. But we'll just put as bad. Check behind. When you're checking to a bet, you're probably pretty weak in these stakes. Shoving range is good. I think I'll just exploitatively fold a little bit more, but I don't know. We might just need to be a little bit more careful. Like here, at this point, we might be okay, but we're just going to check. And it looks like he likes to check if he's also bad. And if he's not, he's going to shove. And we are deeper stacked, so maybe deeper we can shove more. This is really another kind of annoying spot. I don't know. I think we can just limp here. Pretty bad. When he checks, I think we can bet 1, and we probably get a lot of folds. Maybe we just need to get a little deeper. Could be a bluff, could be good, I don't know. Don't have enough equity, I guess, to figure that one out. Oh, God, man. See short stacked when we get like a lot of the bad cards. I guess we just shove with our more average hands. I don't know. I'm just gonna exploitatively fold my worst. Maybe we just call most of our broadways though. I don't know. I think we can find a call here. He hits the 8. So a lot of Broadway cards shove. A lot of 8s. I usually don't see too many low ones. But we are losing, I think, to the exploitative fold there oftentimes. So I think that's interesting. I think I'm going to run a couple of smaller games just to see. with what we've learned, how we're going to be playing. Because I think we're learning some good. I think we're learning a lot of really valuable techniques that are actually going to help us in the long run by practicing some of these. So I think I'm pretty happy with how we look here. All right, so we'll see. Let's see what we like here. I think a lot of 2x on button is too small. I think a lot of 3x is too small as well. But because we want him to call, we'll just raise small here, and I think we'll just continue to barrel when we hit. On a board where it pairs, I think it's kind of tricky to do either or. I think a check or a bet is okay there. When a check behind, we obviously should be really good. All right, so probably just a bluff here. I think we can see that this player wants to bluff. We'll just check behind again and probably just be able to trap somebody that's going to bet. Just pretty easy bluff in that spot when we have it. Limping with our worst. So I guess you just have to figure out if your opponent's going to bluff or not. And that's kind of a interesting way of kind of telling what's going to be happening. 1.9, we'll just find a fold. But yeah, I am interested in figuring out a lot of the checks here. Not so worried about winning a lot of the games, but if I can get this information down and consider it pretty true today, then I think we'll be in a fairly decent spot to kind of understand where we're at. Raise to 2, we'll go ahead and exploitatively fold. And I think when we get shorter, I think we just need to shove our stronger, you know, or medium strength hands. I don't know. I think raise to 2 is probably too small to get any folds, right? Yeah. So checks. I'm going to check, and I don't think he's trapping here. So he shouldn't have any 3s. So this should be a check as well. So we're looking to see, was the check a bluff or not? And we're going to probably pay off a little bit more. So I don't believe this at all. We're going to call any bet here. We'll see. So he checks back again. So he does put a bet in there. And the jack should be misses. And oh, so he did have a jack on the check, right? That's interesting. I believe he had a jack. We need to check back at that spot. I want to double check. But yeah, again, the winning record is not what's really important here. And I think people call too wide, so maybe we do just shove most of our aces at around 5, most of whatever, and we can be. But I think we get a lot of folds here, but maybe that's okay. I don't know. Maybe we just steal the big blind. Maybe that is okay. I'm not sure. What I assume, though, this is probably too weak to shove. But maybe on the big blind, we do find more shoves. When he goes just and limps, can we just shove over the top? Maybe limps in this area are bad. 2 and a 3. So I think limps are bad. So limps, I would say, in that spot are probably pretty poor. You know, they do shove a little wider here. This is a slightly smaller stake, though. So hard to really say. But I think our checks typically are bad. Oh, I wanted to see. So did he actually have a jack here that he checked back to? I want to kind of look at this here. This was a hand. I'm just looking to see if on that one, when he made the bet on the jacks and threes, was he actually strong? And when he raises to 2, we can just shove over the top with these, and we're probably in a pretty good spot. Yeah, he did have a 6 and a jack. So the check was actually a fair check with the top pair over. So that is interesting. I think we can go to 3. And 3 is actually, I think, a little small in that spot too. Right now I'm just kind of testing the waters. Testing the waters as much as possible. We actually did beat him in some of these spots. So the check, actually, he did have one good check. So seems a little passive, I guess, if he's checking. We did end up rivering him and it was okay. But hands like this are really tricky to go over the top. So I think when we shove, he always folds. But maybe not with premium. But if he does, then that's kind of a good little tail. This is the second time. Okay, so his raising range is not that strong. So I guess maybe when we do have really premium hands and he does raise, we're probably pretty ahead. So these guys are both very, very big folders. All right, so we're gonna full button with our not so premium, and I guess we can play slightly different here. When he raises, yeah, so he's just gonna fold. He's not gonna raise too much, and he doesn't have a raise shoving range, so we can kind of punish that maybe more with our more premium hands, or we can see flops with our better hands. So we're just gonna check, and if he, okay, so we literally check and he folds. So this lobby is kind of too bad to see. So he just calls here. When he checks, he should be missing the board entirely, but we're just going to kind of try and get a lot of tests with our stuff. When we don't have anything either, I think we have to continue to check. Now, this bet size should be a 6, so we can call one more time, because if we hit a 9 or a 6, we're good. And this should be an all-in. And he checks behind. If we go 3, we might be burning money here if he finds a call. And he doesn't. So the check actually is good. The check is, again, exactly what we thought it was there. So we are kind of dominating here with a lot of the checks. But we do need to check back often, I think, when we are pretty poor. But it doesn't seem like we're getting trapped all that often. This is a weird spot of does he shove at 3 big blinds? I don't know. I think we're probably okay to find out. But we're not going to. We're going to kind of try and play smart. And I think we exploitatively fold with our worse hands. And like maybe this can find a call versus a shove. And let's see how ahead he is. King 4. He does hit a 4. And we do end up losing. So that's why I don't love to find too many calls with more random hands there. But I think the check, he's not going to check here. This player seems to be not playing. All right, so we're going to try and play our heads up strategy a little bit differently here. Just going to raise him here. If he shoves, I think we're good. All right, we're back on top. 7-8, I think we can also shove here. And versus a limp should be a fold. Actually calls with jacks. Hits another jack, so we're dead. So that was good as well. So the check is a little weird. So normally he should be pretty bad. So is he shoving with bad? He does hit the king. Can we hit a 4? No. Yeah, see, so that's... Yeah, that's weird. So he does have some traps with his most premium hand. So that does seem pretty good. That seems to check out okay. So it's just weird. So I guess the check is typically weak, but Maybe not always as weak as we hope. But right now my goal is not to win every game or whatever. I just want to kind of get more understanding of how people play. And I think if a lot of things become really indecisive, that it is just playing as smart as possible. But I am losing a lot of those like flips at the end of games. That's where I do find a lot of like my major struggle, which I guess makes a lot of sense. So in the big blind with something more, I think raising to 4 does get a lot of folds here. So he actually finds a call, just a flat call, which is interesting. And ace high boards, we can just bet small. And this looks pretty good. So he does find a call. I have to check here because I think we're probably in a bad spot. And I think betting here is probably just we're always going to be behind. We do end up pulling that one out. That's kind of a bad move that we do end up getting a little lucky on how he plays there. Just raise to 2. Yeah, that one spot is actually a little bit confusing. This is probably a little bit bad as well. We'll just try and kind of use what we've learned to not really test too much this game, and we'll just see what we can do. But I do need to work on the... I do have to go here in a minute. It's probably my last game, unfortunately, but we'll be okay. With our more weak hands, I think we'll go size up here, and this size should induce a bunch of folds. Unless they're premium, and then when you're premium, you can't do much. So I think the sizing, yeah, it needs to be 4, 4.5 probably, or between like probably like 4 and 5. And then here with all of our good hands, I think we're not probably trying to trap as much. I think we're just gonna shove in these ranges. I want to learn exactly my shoving ranges, exactly where those live, but yeah, so I think I need to work on shoving ranges because this is where things get tricky. So here, obviously, we don't want to shove these. Can we call a shove? Now, my guess is here, basically, that this is going to be ace X, king 8 or higher, queen 9 or higher. So it probably should be like a lot of like Broadway cards plus 10s. I'm just going to call because I think both of these guys are bad, but I think that I think having ace high might be good versus like a queen or whatever, but I don't even think there's any jacks here. We are actually a little ahead. He does hit the 2. So that's just kind of testing. It seems like everybody's on that wave. And that's okay. I mean, it does suck, but that's kind of what I expect, and we were in fact even ahead. And yeah, so king 10. Give me an ace. So we do get to continue to play, so we'll be good. But again, so a lot of like king 10, that's pretty much all people shove with. So you really have to figure out, are you ahead? The aces is the hard part to figure it out. But I think ace 3, we don't have to shove. We don't have to call a shove to. I think we probably start with like ace 5, ace 6, because I think everybody shoves all of their aces. So I think we can shove all of our aces, like, you know, and maybe just be a little bit more exploitative where ace 3 might be a shove there, but we probably just don't care. This is good to shove. We could raise, get, you know, one more caller, but I don't think it's worth it. And obviously we're just calling with jacks, and I think we're actually probably ahead. So 9s, 4-10 is a little weak. He does hit the 10. We're still good. And he does hit the other 10. So that's kind of the luck of the draw where it's absolutely ridiculous. That's just pretty unlucky, but 10-4 I think is what he had or something is pretty random. And that's just like the unlucky where it's like, what the fuck, dude? We're actually ahead of both there, and we're ahead of the 10 still, but he needs to hit another 10. So do we have time for one more? I think we do. So I think in those spots we're actually, it is what it is. So we'll play one more here. I do have to go. I don't know if this is a mistake. We have 9 minutes. We do have to end this game a little bit quicker. But yeah, I think that's actually just the play where once he shoves, we know that we're just going to exploitatively fold the shoves. I even, like, I wonder short stacked how it looks. Like that one, I think I played really strong all the way through, and we ended up losing that one. But we'll do a test here on this one and try and see. So when they limp, I think we're okay to just ISO. I'm going to go 4.5. I'm just going to go 5. I think this induces a pretty nice fold. Finds a call. And we're just going to bet the ace pretty big. And shouldn't have many hands that call here. But he does, so we have to fold. I don't know. That must be an ace as well. I think when they raise to the 5, it's probably just never. We're probably not too good in that spot. So we'll check. We have to check again. And I assume he shouldn't have very many here. And we'll call once. We'll bet small on the river and he should find a fold. I don't think he should have any 9s, 8s, kings. Oh, he does have a 9 and a king. So he did trap. So we were actually good there as well. So the trapping is tricky. And we just have to shove here. So he does trap. And I think if we see any traps. So this player actually represents probably a pretty decent player. King 10 versus 9, 10. 9. Hold. Cool. So again, that's another king 10 raise, right? So people are just pretty aggressive on what they're playing. Ace 6, 7.5 big blinds is a little tricky on how we want to play this. And we'll raise again to 4, and we'll just see how often that he can actually find a call. He probably has to be premium here, unless he picks up on this again. But I think that this works most of the time. And it didn't there, and I think we're just shoving here, hoping we get another black card, and if not, fine. Maybe he only does this because he's already done it once and it was good. And we hit the black card. Thank you. So what did he just have there? So we'll just ISO him again. We're actually good. This is a good flop for us. We could be betting on here a little bit. Nine, 10 off. Ace 7. Okay, so this guy is actually a bit of an exception, and we just have to realize the exceptions when we see him, that this guy's actually good. So this guy knows how to play and is playing pretty well, right? He's finding a lot of good spots and making a lot of good plays. So we just have to recognize that and kind of know that, again, some of the calls that he's making... So we can do a little bit of playing around and kind of test, but I think that this guy's actually pretty solid, pretty reasonable. All of his larger calls, he's seemed to make them pretty good. So I hope this guy goes and heads and shoves and actually has it. I do need to leave here though. But he's called the big bets and he's lost multiple times. So I think we can actually probably just do this to him again. And he's not going to be playing with a lot of bad hands here. We're on the big again. This sucks. I get to fold there. I think, yeah. He doesn't. Okay, well, a lot of aces and again, like a lot of kings make the same plays there. Nice. We like that. So we have a good idea on what's happening here. Jack 3, again, we're just not getting the hands that we like. And when he shoves on top of us, it's easier. And if he makes a call again, I'm just going to put a caller. I don't think you can make notes. 4 queen is a bit ambitious there. So a bit wide. This player seems a little bit less good. So limp should be a pretty weak hand. That I think betting king high, we should be good most of the time to get a folder. I'm actually running out of time. I really have to go. All right, we're going to just have to shove this every time and see if we can learn anything, as I have to go and be there in 3 minutes. So I'm running out of time here. This is just a terrible hand, but I think we have to just play this as fast as possible. If we lose, we lose, and I'm okay with it here. I think we can call our suited hands. 10 king, yep, looks good. We do hit the 9, we hit the 3, one more black card, thank you. All right, and then we're just gonna shove, I think, again, or we'll fold to every shove, and all of our suited hands, I think we can shove here. Queen 3, hits the 3. Okay, so he called a suited queen, so his shoving range is good there. Come on, brother, end the game. Should call, we probably lose this hand. 10-8, we are ahead.